Hello and welcome to cricketnews.com. It's time for a brand new test series. It's time for India versus England in India, a four test series. It's going to be an absolute crackerjacker of a test series between these two incredible nations. Four tests, of course, two being played in Chennai, two being played in Ahmedabad later, and a lot up for the grabs, speaking especially in terms of the World Test Championship and more. So, anyway, that's a bigger conversation. Let's center back and look at the squads. And in this one, we'll take a look at the hosts in India and take a look at five players whose journeys we absolutely need to track as the series goes on. Let's take a look at our five players. Then you let us know what your five players are later. At number 5, I've picked Jasprit Bumrah, and that's primarily because this is going to be Jasprit Bumrah's first test on Indian soil. And that's mind-boggling because at a certain point, Jasprit Bumrah was India's spearhead in Australia, leading a young bowling attack, and he hasn't even played a single test at home. I don't remember when the last time that happened. So Bumrah playing in India is going to be absolutely crucial. Also because from an injury management perspective and from a player management perspective, you'd like to take a look at India's squad for test matches being played in India, and you'd like to see if Jasprit Bumrah is absolutely required, because going forward you have to manage Bumrah's workload and also ensure that you give a chance to this incredibly booming pool of fast bowlers that India is producing. Very exciting times indeed. So very crucial to see if Bumrah enjoys bowling in these conditions, if he enjoys bowling with reverse swing coming into play in the evenings as well in Indian conditions. And all of these factors will be crucial in assessing if Jasprit Bumrah fits into India's plans, or if he's required, if his services are required in India's plans to be played in India. Look, anyway, India have been absolutely dominant in the subcontinent and particularly on home soil. And it'll be interesting to see how India manage Bumrah and also build their squad going forward for matches being played in India. And Bumrah's involvement at that will be very important. I've gone with Akshar Patel at number 4, and that's primarily because he's been knocking on the doors for a long time, and there's just been not a single spot available for him. Ravindra Jadeja has occupied that number 7 spot and the second spinner spot for a long time, and to be fair, Jaddu has done an immaculate job at cementing that spot and bringing such value to this Indian test team, both in India and overseas. Akshar, on the other hand, has racked up some magnificent numbers in the Ranji Trophy setup, has always taken his chances when presented in the blue of India, and it'll be interesting to see how he goes about his business in Chennai. Remember, the squad's been picked for the first 2 tests only, and the next 2 tests are in Akshar's hometown, in Ahmedabad. Now it'll be interesting to see how Akshar goes about his business, how much bowling is he given, and how does he utilize those chances. If at all he does well and Ravindra Jadeja is fit for the third and the fourth test, whom do you bring Jadeja straight in for Akshar? Do you continue with Akshar? There is a lot that will be happening in that space for the number 7 spot, and of course the second spin bowler spot that these two players vie for. So very interesting. It'll be interesting to see how Akshar Patel goes about his business and what value does he bring to Team India in the first 2 tests. At number 3, I've gone with Ravichandran Ashwin, and that's primarily because if Ashwin does well, India do well, and that goes without saying. Ravichandran Ashwin has been absolutely pivotal to India's test cricket prowess in the last decade. Make no mistake about it. He's gone on to rack some incredible numbers in India and abroad, but the one thing that's been sticking out is that he hasn't done particularly well versus England, and that's something that Ashwin will be keen to correct in the series going forward. Now, it's not like he's going to be thinking way too much about it. He's someone who's confident, he's someone who goes out there, believes in his ability, has got an incredibly strong mind, which we saw in that third test as well in Australia, and it'll be interesting to see how he goes about his business. Remember, he'll be playing at home as well in Chennai, in home conditions, after 4 or 5 years, and it'll be interesting to see how Ashwin 2.0, as I like to call him on a number of times, will go about his business, especially in home conditions this time around. Right, at number 2 among these experienced Turks, I've picked a young Turk, I'd like to say, in Shubman Gill. Now, you looked at Shubman Gill in Australia and you saw, wow, look at this young kid who's playing the likes of Pat Cummins, Josh Hazlewood, Stark and Lyon in the fourth innings at Gabba with such ease when everyone's talking about the Gabatoir and it being a place for absolute difficulty for India. But look at Gill and the way he managed these four bowlers didn't look troubled at all and nearly scored 100 for India in really trying times in that fourth test in a series in an innings that really mattered for India. And it'll be interesting to see how he goes about his business in more familiar conditions in India versus a slightly lesser potent bowling oppositions, if I dare say it. Of course, you've got Broad and Anderson and the likes, but Australia are a test for any touring team, and Shubman Gill handled that really well. There have been a number of conversations around Gill. Alan Border has come out and said that he sees something in this kid. Sunny Gavaskar, the great Sunil Gavaskar, has also said the same, and a number of greats all around the world have really rung the praises on Shubman Gill. So it'll be interesting to see how he builds on that confidence, on that momentum in India. Remember, in the Indian Test team, if you do not perform in a single series, you're out of the window because there are so many there waiting. There's Mayank Agarwal, who's undoubtedly been India's top opener in the last few years, waiting in the wings. Don't think he'll get an opportunity straight up, but it'll be interesting to see in that light as well how Shubman Gill goes about his business in the first two tests. And at number one is Virat Kohli, India's captain. This is Virat's team, remember, and he's back to lead it, of course, after a very momentous moment in his life, which we will come to a little later. But he is back to lead this team India and will be keen to pile on the runs as well, apart from getting the team over the line and getting the team to win this test series. Remember, Virat has gone without scoring 100 in 2020 and he will be keen to correct that as soon as possible going forward. It's interesting because we've noticed this in a lot of the players that once they have such an incredible moment in their personal life, their career just goes to the next level. You've seen that with MS Dhoni, you've seen that with Rohit Sharma, you've seen a lot of these cricketers after they've had a momentous occasion in their personal life, i.e. the birth of their child, their fortunes have just gone to another level because they reach a certain state of mind which relaxes them, that calms them down. Remember, these cricketers go through a lot on the field and off it, and to be in a relaxed state of mind obviously brings out their best. So it'll be interesting to see how a happy and a content Virat Kohli goes about his business in this test series and of course returns back for India and scores a lot of the runs. For me, I am pretty certain and very happy to say that if Virat does well in the series, India will clinch it with very less difficulty. So those were my 5 players that I'd be really looking out for in this test series from an Indian perspective. Tell us who your 5 players are in the comment section. Share this video with your friends and get going. Join us on cricketnews.com. We're bringing a plethora of content for you on cricketnews.com and on our social channels throughout India versus England, and your presence is absolutely valuable. See you around.